Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm Phil Bakke. We are, as always, a proud member of the Beautiful Game Network and brought to you by Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. I'm joined tonight by Mikka Burrell. Mikka, lot to talk about tonight, but how are you doing?
Hey, Phil. I'm good. Arsenal got smashed today by Liverpool, so I called it, though, on Hardcore Football. So if you are listening to this and you also listen to Hardcore Football, you'd know that already. So
yeah, that was quite the call. And yeah, I've got to give credit where it's due. If only Austin were here tonight, he could give you props for a Ostradamus level prediction, but unfortunately he misses out tonight. But we are also joined tonight, as always, by Christian Canales. Chris, what's going on?
It was a rough weekend, man. All from Saturday's shenanigans to Wolves getting stomped by West Ham on Sunday. It gave me a lot of time for reflection. I happened to go to my parents' house yesterday afternoon, or not yesterday afternoon, but a couple days ago in the afternoon. And I was just I don't remember what I was looking for, but I went into my old room and was just going through stuff. And I found a composition book that I used for my second year of confirmation. So this would have been year 2006, 2007-ish, 15 or 16 years old. And I was just flipping through the pages just for no reason. And I saw something and it made me wonder something. What is the most, like, maybe I'll have to give an example to make sense, but like, what is the most obscure celebrity interaction you've ever had? Do you get what I mean by like obscure celebrity?
Yeah, like someone who was very famous to you, but wouldn't like break anybody else. Everybody else would be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that, or I think in Mike was more of a, he was famous, but like 6 years ago.
Oh, okay, sure.
6 years ago at the time when it happened, even more like irrelevant now.
Sure.
But so it's kind of like that. But I want to hear if you guys have a story like that before I let you in on mine.
I don't know. Mikka, do you have anything? Because I think I have one, but...
I think I have one, but I'm trying to think if I understand the prompt.
So
maybe we should hear Christian's first.
Okay, I'll tell you mine. So
okay. In
this notebook was an autograph, and this autograph belonged to none other than Baby Bash of early 2000s. I don't even know if you would call it hip hop. Early 2000s, like pop, hip hop fame.
Oh, man.
That's the Sugar How You Get So Fly dude, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I do understand the prompt, and I definitely have some examples.
And it was I just remembered it was such a strange experience because we were picking up, I don't know if it was my brother or my dad from the airport on a Sunday afternoon after my confirmation class.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm waiting with my relatives at the baggage claim for a Southwest Airlines flight from Phoenix, when standing next to me is none other than Baby Bash, who was apparently on the same Southwest Airlines flight as my relative. So
they're just like us.
Yeah.
Did he have priority boarding?
He was getting his baggage at the same time as us, so I don't think so. I don't know if that's an additional perk, but
oh my God.
I went and grabbed the only thing I had, which was my confirmation notebook. And to this day, that page is still in there.
Just a signature from Baby Bash.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. I think what's most amazing about that is the recognition. Because, like, it would have been easy for you to not notice Baby Bash, like, in that setting. You know, like, if you were expecting to see Baby Bash, like, outside of his concert or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be one thing.
Yeah.
At a baggage carousel in the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport?
No, it was in El Paso. It was coming from
in
Phoenix.
El Paso.
That's the other thing.
That's even more.
That's so bizarre.
I mean, in his defense, at that time, he was playing a lot of shows here.
Sure. Jeez. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I don't know that I can top it for context.
Me neither.
I can definitely top it for obscurity, like of the person at the time. I think I can hit that, but I can't hit, like, it was in a setting where you'd expect to see kind of like washed up like celebrities, I guess. But I always remember, like, we were at my grandma used to manage like a country club or whatever. And they had this pro-am, or I think it was pro-am or something like that. But it was a celebrity golf tournament or whatever. And we were outside of Chicago and Michael Jordan was playing in it. And so it was like the marquee thing. It was crazy. But Michael Jordan, as many people know now, not the nicest guy, not going to go out of his way to sign autographs at a golf tournament. Like, he's there to play and he is there to win.
Are you about to tell us that MJ called your grandma a hoe?
No.
Because that's amazing.
No, he snubbed everybody. He literally got straight out of his whatever supercar and then got back in and left. Like, he played 18 and bounced. Like, that was his. But the people who were hanging around were the most random people ever. And it was random sports people and Chicago kind of personalities or whatever. Everyone was focused on MJ, but no one was focused on Jim McMahon, the quarterback of the 1985 Super Bowl winning Bears team.
Wow.
So we approached. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I had a Bulls hat, and I had Jim McMahon sign my Bulls hat. I think Kevin Butler, who was the kicker on that team, may have also signed the hat, so I don't know. But yeah, that to me, I was like, oh my God, I've seen the video of that season over and over again. This is the greatest football player that's ever lived, because the only games I had ever watched of him, they won the Super Bowl that year. So there were no bad games really. And so anyways, yeah, I was awestruck by Jim McMahon, who had one good season in the NFL basically.
Do you still have that hat?
Yeah, actually I don't have it in my possession, but it is in the Baki sphere
Archives.
of influence. Yeah, whatever. Mika, who's your obscure celebrity?
Oh my gosh, mine's it's not a sports one. It's way more cringe. I mean, obviously, some of you may know that I grew up in New Jersey, in the suburbs outside of New York, and so it's not uncommon to see celebrities because many of them have gigantic houses in and around the city.
Sure.
But one summer I was up up back home, and there's this really quaint ice cream shop near my hometown, and me and my cousins were there, and it's, this really like quaint, like main street where there's like boutique shops and things like that. And there's like a small crowd like gathering on the street. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And this crowd is like kind of shuffling down the street. And finally we see who's like leading this crowd. And it's Teresa Guidici from Real Housewives of New Jersey. If you don't watch the show, which I wouldn't blame you if you don't, but she is infamous for like flipping a table on TV, like in a nice like dinner setting. So like you see things like that all the time. The Jonas Brothers, like the oldest one, lives like near my hometown. We've seen him a few times like at this ice cream place. So there's just like random, like they're like local celebrities, but they're also like, I guess, national ones. I guess the Jonas Brothers are making a comeback, but I mean, I've seen he and his wife a few times around. I've never asked for an autograph though, because I'm too like, I just can't do it. I feel like bad when I see people out in public, and like, especially with Guidici or whatever, like she had like a crowd following her. I'm like, I'm sure she's just trying to shop, but there's just random ones like that are irrelevant, but relevant, I guess, enough to be recognized. But nothing like Baby Bash. That's crazy. I wouldn't have recognized Baby Bash, so I'm kind of impressed by that.
I am too.
I mean, like I said, he wasn't that. His 5 seconds of fame hadn't expired that long before it happened. like now, if it happened today, I don't think I would. I would be like, whose uncle is this? But back then, he still had many tracks occupying my iPod Shuffle. So
that is hilarious.
So the reason that we're spending so much time on this, I think, is because we're putting off speaking about what transpired on Saturday night. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm still mad. Like, do you guys feel just like, I think about this match and I'm still pissed about it. Like, it has not faded. I know, Christian, you were feeling pretty rough the morning after, but has it subsided at all?
Only because I was so pissed about it on Sunday still that it kept me from doing my prep work for this week for work. And so I just had to wake up and get to work early this morning. I didn't have time to think about it, but my blood is probably going to start boiling again over the next, hour and a half or so.
Mika, I mean, coming into this one, obviously we spoke about this is always a tough fixture. We really don't enjoy this fixture, but we got our 4th dose of it. Going into it, though, like, I feel like we all felt fairly confident based on Locomotive's form. Did you feel like, is it one of those things that just like dissipates at kickoff where you just immediately are like, oh God?
I mean, I agree. I do think that I felt good going into it. I think the tide is turning, however slowly, in the derby, given recent results. But yeah, like as soon as the whistle blows, it's like, yeah, I hate this. I just feel like every time we meet this team, there's something, like it's never just about the football. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's always some narrative that crops up that is inescapable. Right. I think this time it was the referees, which is a common one, but I think the officiating left a lot to be desired. And, I was able to compartmentalize my anger after the night, but then I watched the highlights again today to just refresh myself. And I was like upset again, because there were just so many good chances early. That we didn't take. So it's 2 points lost in a way. And of course we will get to Omar Salgado, but yeah. Yeah.
We may as well dive right into this. Like, much as the squad did, because the game starts, we kick off. It was a lineup that I think we've come to expect, pretty much full strength, like from what we expected. Yuma employed as a center back in place of the recalled Brent Coleman. But the beginning of this match was reminiscent of a few matches that I think we've talked about, but in terms of shot just pure chance creation, we were absolutely relentless in the opening 10 minutes and could have easily been 3-0 up within about the first 7. So what did you guys make of the start? And was that just purely the energy of the squad kind of being like, okay, we're going to go out and like get the job done tonight? Or is it United just caught flat-footed and not expecting that type of onslaught? I mean, Chris, did you expect something like that?
I did. I think that with these matches against teams that can, outrun us or just teams that, I guess the better teams is what I'll say, the better teams that we play against, I think that just because we're not a team that scores a bunch of goals, it is important to really kind of end the game quickly. So I always expect that, when we play New Mexico or when we play Phoenix, that's always what I'm looking for. And I think that that's what they try to do. But I also think that it is, the season is wearing on New Mexico, because I think that we were the better team for like 85 minutes of the game. But, I think that it was them being flat-footed and the game plan from Mark to really, like I said, end the game in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to think it was the game plan as well, because, as we've seen, New Mexico United have come to the SWEP and played that low block. And I think our goal was to make that impossible, to where if we get 1, 2, 3 quick fire goals, they'd have to come out and start attacking, and then we can really get at them if they're not just sitting deep and trying to bunker. So I think that was probably the plan, is these are tired guys, like just get at it. And I mean, Omar hits a crossbar with like a potential screamer in like the first minute. Then Mishak's got that chance that goes off the right of Meisel's cross, the upright. Josue has like 2 point blank headers, probably. I mean,
yeah, I think it's Brahim on the first, and then Josue on the second. Yeah. So it's just, you look back and to be fair, there was some decent goalkeeping from Meisel. He was under siege. I think he's probably furious, honestly, with the back line after some of those instances, but we didn't have that killer instinct, I guess, or luck on our side. So it's disappointing to not get anything out of this one. Yeah, I think anytime you start a match like that, the Omar chance and even the Mishak chance as well, like hitting the woodwork from those positions, it's like, okay, like unlucky in a way, but it's not a clear cut chance or anything like that.
True.
They're very difficult chances, but once it does strike the bar, you're like, like if it had gone it, because if that, I think we're talking about a very, very different match. If any of those first kind of 4 chances find the back of the net, I think we're talking about, and I know it's easy to speculate, but the way that we started, I really do think that if United had to come out and play and attack, we're talking about a drubbing. Because the way that they were encouraged to play, as long as it remained 0-0, was to break things up, keep it choppy, like not really focus that much on possessing the ball, and like just foul, like any time that Locomotive got the ball. So it changes the game. And the question that emerged from those early chances is there's the moment where Josue Aron Gomez heads at the back post after Rebellon heads it off of the near post, and then it's crossed back into the middle by Borelli, I believe, and Gomez gets on the end of it, and it's at Mizell. Mizell looked to be a little bit behind it, but pushes it off of the crossbar and out. Was it over the line? And was that chance potentially the Gomez ghost goal?
I have no idea. Like I couldn't see anything that was even close to being like conclusive. So
right.
I'm inclined to go with the ref. And I don't remember who it was. It might have been Gomez last year that we were gifted with one of those calls. I think against Fresno at the end of the season. We got that exact call really early on in the match too. Mm-hmm. We got a goal from a ball that came out. So, I guess, you can't get all of those. So
yeah, that's fair.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I have no clue. In real time, it didn't look like it. It looked like it didn't break the plane completely. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. There's no goal line technology, right? So, we'll never know.
Well, and I think beyond, without the goal line technology is one thing, but we don't even have like a decent angle to see like whether it's over the line or not. So, yeah, ultimately you have to trust the linesman, I guess, to make that call with the referees that we have.
He saved our butt at the end. So
yeah. It all evens out, I guess.
Yeah.
But that initial onslaught, it was feeling very much like, United were just trying to weather the storm. And it was one of the few times I think that we've ever felt that playing United where they were the ones who were like up against it. They were the ones who were just trying to get through the match or whatever. Like we've often, I think, been caught up in United's approach and fallen victim to it many times. It felt like we were really asserting ourselves and really like turning a corner in terms of being able to do that to a team that's athletically maybe, able to like run more, cover more ground or whatever. It seemed like we were really dominating them, which was refreshing because we haven't really had that. But then worst case scenario strikes. And Omar Salgado goes down injured. Not a pretty sight in terms of the aftermath of that. Mika, I hate to make you relive this moment, but like talk us through, I guess, what went on at field level.
I don't know what exactly happened as far as the contact goes because it didn't look. I don't know. I guess maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but whatever the contact was didn't look that serious. And then all of a sudden, 10 feet to my left is Omar Salgado hit the deck and screaming in agony.
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to make it sound like more than what it is. That's what was happening. And Yuma came over. Yuma was, the captain on the night, and he took one look and waved for medical to come and attend to Omar, and he was just wailing and clearly in a world of pain. And Yuma had some choice, Spanish curse words for the situation, which, just indicated to me that it was very serious. It was awful, really. Just seeing a player and seeing anybody in that kind of pain, and it wasn't good. And I haven't, been trying to get some scoops for you all, but I think maybe they're still investigating what exactly is going on with that injury. But yeah, just not a pleasant sight whatsoever, and a huge loss for us, honestly.
It's one of those injuries, Christian, where it's like it not only does it come to a player who has been really important for the team, but even personally for Omar, he's in a really good moment as well. I mean, it's devastating on kind of a few levels, but first and foremost, you don't want to see a guy who's kind of at the height of his powers not able to see it through to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a hell of a year. For him personally, he's having a fantastic year. And I think that we're getting into crunch time, as far as making sure we finish the season strong and then making a playoff run. So I think that he was really, in a place where he could do a lot of work there. And then just from a team perspective, you hate for it to happen to anyone, obviously, but he's been so crucial this year to everything that we do, how we generate offense. So it's a really tough blow.
The change when Omar does come off, the change is to bring on Leandro Carrillo. But he comes on, and Mika, I mean, he seems to kind of take up Omar's position. And what did you make of Carrillo on the night? And just like, was it him, or was he almost like the square peg in the round hole?
I think it's tough to come into that situation for any player. Like I said, when Omar went down, Yuma came over and was very distraught. I'm sure that translated to the players as well. And it was early. It was relatively early in the match. And I think Christian's kind of, told us that we shouldn't expect that many minutes out of Carrillo, at least regularly. So that's number one is, emotionally and physically, I don't know that he was ready for that much on the night. And number two, tactically, it was just weird. I mean, he was very wide a lot of times. And, like you said, it seems like he kind of took up Omar's role there. But Omar is much more suited to that, as I think everyone can agree, in terms of athleticism, pace, power, what have you. So Carrillo's positioning was really strange. And I think it didn't make the most of his skills necessarily. And I think, like we had speculated after the game in our chat, I don't know if that was intentional and he's being misused, or if he doesn't understand what his role should be in the squad. And I hesitate to think it's the latter because of the sheer amount of experience that this player has. So I just don't think that we've seen the best from him. And I think that it was a tough moment for him to come in and, we're probably going to have to rely on him a little bit more now that, if we can assume, I think we can safely assume that Omar is done for the season, at least. So I don't know. I don't know if this necessitates a change in system, or if he needs to just be worked on a little more one-on-one in training in terms of positioning or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I really hesitate to think that that's the case. He's a very experienced, and I also hesitate to think we change system because it's crunch time now. I mean, we've had so much success with the diamond. So just kind of all of these thoughts were kind of hitting me at once about that particular inclusion in the squad after Omar went down and, with the injury. So I don't know. I don't know. I just hope that we see more from him. Everyone's going to have to give that bit more, because Chiro's out, Omar's out. I mean, Nick is slowly returning. So yeah, we'll just have to see what this team can come up with.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that I think for all of us and Christian, I mean, as we're watching the game, like maybe it's a little simpler for us. We think about it almost like managing like in FIFA or FM or something like that. But when a player like Omar comes off, who's playing on the left and has that speed and everything, it almost seems kind of natural to be like, okay, well, let's put Gomez like in that role and have Carrillo like through the center. But do you think it was Mark's faith in Josue as a striker that actually kept him from making that change?
I don't know. I think that they knew kind of what they wanted to do as far as, I just take it down, the wings. And I think that even though, obviously we didn't have a whole lot of success that way, I think that if they wanted to kind of stick with the same strategy that they went in with, I think it's easier to do it with a bigger body, even though it might not be the most athletic body in Carijo. I think, maybe getting the ball down there and at least trying to do something with it is a lot easier to do with someone of his stature compared to Gomez. I just don't think that maybe Gomez is physically capable of, holding the ball against those defenders on the wings. So I think that might have probably been it.
The New Mexico United shithousery begins pretty early in this one. And their approach, as I said earlier, I mean, it was very much they were setting out to really disrupt and break up Locomotive's play. And Andrew Tenari, I think, was the first real offender in this, but Amando Moreno followed soon after. A lot of cynical and physical challenges being made, Mika, that just weren't being punished by the referee in a way that would actually discourage them from going on. It's as if the referee basically said, like, yep, go ahead.
Yeah. That's certainly how it seemed. And I can't remember any one of these questionable challenges occurring in a place where the ref couldn't clearly see it. So that to me was perhaps the most troubling part, because the referee seemed pretty well placed for most of the evening. But yeah, Tenari and Moreno, both of them. Moreno sticks out more to me because I feel like it's just so much worse when a player who's actually good is also a shithouse. Because, I mean, he's been very, very productive, obviously, for New Mexico United. I mean, luckily we were able to keep him quiet on the night, but it was just frustrating to see, him kind of skilling around and being just a twat. So, yeah, very frustrating, honestly. And I was kind of doing the live tweeting, and the first card comes out for Borelli for a shirt pull. I mean, and that is a foul, to be fair. That is a foul, but it's like, where's the consistency? I mean, there had been 3 or 4 questionable challenges before that card came out. So I don't know, I'm not impressed. Once again, I really think that these heated matches need competent officiating, and we didn't see that.
Yeah. And I think what's good about how the match transpired is that no one is at the end of the match. There's no apparent injuries from any of these kind of reckless challenges. But there easily could have been. And with one player already seriously injured, it's like, okay, we need to rein in what else is going on. And obviously it's not Yearwood's, fault that Omar, there's not any contact in there that would suggest that he isn't responsible for Omar's injury. But the fact of the matter is that there's now, post the injury, United started flying in all over the field, which is good. I'm sure Lesane sent them out with hey, we need to close them down. We need to make sure they're not free to play their game. We can't just let them pass it around. We need to press. We need all valid things, but the application of it was far worse than closing down. It was going in late on people. It was cynically kicking people down, like as they go past you. All of these things can, one, hurt players or whatever, but they also are designed to be punished. Like if I'm going past you and I'm going to have the potential to create something and you drag me down or kick me or whatever, just with no intent to play the ball, like that's a yellow card. And it just wasn't in this match. Like it was so uneven in the application. And in the end, the team who had the ball more was carded more than the team who was doing most of the fouling. So the team with 21 fouls gets 2 yellows and the team with 13 gets 4. And that's just like, and some of the fouls as well that we received cards for were quite soft, as the shirt pull and like that sort of I think, United are a very talented team, and as you said, Amanda Moreno, like a very talented player, which it's almost as you said, it's like more galling to watch them go out and be goons, because
right,
whether you're a United fan or not, like this is not coming from a place of hate of United. This is just strictly like the style was negative. They did not come to play, and they came to disrupt, and they were allowed to do it by the match officials. So that is ultimately like what is so like days later gets my blood boiling, is the fact that a very good team came to the swap to not play, and the referees were like, sure, go on. Like,
yeah, and I think that's what's so frustrating most of all for me, is they weren't particularly clever with their challenges. There are teams that are very adept at the tactical foul, and it's clever, and that's why they don't get carded. There are teams that make a whole identity out of that kind of thing, but this was not clever. This was cynical. This was worthy of more cards and maybe a sending off or two that we just didn't see. And I don't say that to excuse the draw. I mean, right. I think we outplayed them. I think they're very lucky to have left with a point, but yeah, just not clever at all. Just like you said, here to disrupt, and maybe that's a consequence of the fatigue, but it's just not, if I'm a neutral and I'm watching this, I'm like, this is garbage soccer, to be fair. I mean, it just is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Christian, I mean, your thoughts on the handling of this, and like for example, Andrew Tenari, who I feel he was warned about 5 times and then never booked. What did you make of this whole, the shithousery, or, the disruptive play of United?
Yeah, I just don't understand what the officials were thinking. I mean, we know exactly what United was thinking. So I'm less upset at them because it's like when you have like a child who misbehaves. At a certain point, like, you have to stop being angry or blaming the child and look at like the parent and how they're controlling things. In this case, we're talking about the referees, and the referee, like, apart from like calling a very loose game, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But when you bring up, the repeated warnings and the repeated warning, it's like, why are you even wasting your time? Like, you're not doing anything about it. Why should he stop doing it?
Right.
If anything, just like either don't call it, or like stop being afraid to pull a card.
Yeah.
I think that as referee in your head, no, I don't think for the most part any referee wants to be the person that influences the game. And so that's why cards don't get pulled and calls don't get made sometimes, and I get it. But in a game where you've already had a player go off injured, which, like we've said multiple times, that was the referee's fault. But when it turns into, when it's a rough game like that, if another player does get taken off because of a call you don't make or because you fail to control the game, then you have impacted the game, without even blowing your whistle. So there's a balance, and it just wasn't there this weekend.
That's really well said, and I think encapsulates the vibe of the officiating during this match. I think it's time for us to take a quick break, and we'll be back. Maybe
need a drink.
Maybe more calm to talk about the rest of this match, and then look ahead to Colorado. So stay tuned. Thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer, and Seriously Loco. They put together extremely high quality stuff, and you can get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. And welcome back. Diving right back into the match, the 0-0 draw against New Mexico United. I think it's more frustrating, and Mika, I mean, you can maybe enlighten on some of this. Just like the thing that makes this game more frustrating is the fact that some of the football that Locomotive did play between getting hacked down by United players, some of the passing, some of the link up was actually amazing.
Oh, I mean, we played them off the park. We outpossessed them, outshot them, outcreated them. The only things that New Mexico United let us in were fouls and offsides committed. So, I mean, some of the one-touch passing was scintillating. I mean, I had that Wenger ball joke in our group chat because there was just a lot of really nice stuff going on. I mean, I think that our confidence in this fixture has really, increased now that we finally beat them. Now we have a precedent. Now we have, something to look back on and say that worked. So again, like I said in the, part one, I think the tide is turning in this one. And hopefully we can build on it and kind of, the proverbial power shift, if you will. So we play very well, and it's just one of those games where unfortunately nothing went in for us.
Yeah, it's gosh, and you want that positive reinforcement about the style that we play. Like, you want the guys to feel encouraged to play that one touch, like just
right.
nifty passing, all of that stuff. Like, we want to encourage that. So it sucks that we didn't get the 3 points, because that would have been kind of just a big affirmation of the work they put in to play that style. But the draw at the end of the day, the draw did need holding on to in some moments. As the game continued 0-0. And Christian, I mean, Yuma deployed as a center back in this one, but he was absolutely crucial at times, keeping this scoreless, but also just like he was just very good as a center back, like throughout this match.
Yeah, I think this is the second time we've seen him at center back this season. And I think he did fairly well last time as well. So, I guess that's saying something about him. That versatility is just another thing to be thankful for. And I think he had a near perfect game, like you said. I think I might be wrong, but I think the almost goal at the end, I think that was off an error from him. But in the end, it led to nothing. And so other than that, I don't think he made a mistake. And I think he had a lot of really great plays. I think it's been interesting to see how he can, I think he is a different player. There's some people who have the same kind of mentality, whether they get switched on the field or not. But I think that Yuma has the ability to kind of dial it back and be a little smarter when he knows that he's kind of the last line of defense. But he also made some really, aggressive, clearances and times when he stepped up to the ball where if he misses it, we're in trouble. But he does it at the right time. So it was a lot of fun watching him play back there. And I think he loves it too. Cause like you said, I think you're as a captain, and even if he wasn't the captain, I think that, they're looking to him to be the voice. And he relishes that. And I think that his voice is amplified even more from a center back position than if he was playing, in that defensive midfielder position. So it's a lot of fun to watch him there.
And Mika, I think you said in the group chat as well that Yuma goes sicko mode with the armband on. So I mean, is he just energized by his ability to address the referee, which we know is one of his favorite things to do? Hands behind the back, politely discussing with the referee why he's an idiot. That is basically Yuma's whole mood.
It has to be. I mean, every time he's captained the side, he's just been excellent in my memory. I feel like he's a different player. Just, a couple yards back in that defensive line, and as opposed to when he's in midfield, kind of flying into tackles and, just being a bit more reckless, I guess, in his play. It must be. It must be the fact that he's got permission to actually speak with the referee that gives him this extra boost. I mean, I think, and again, not trying to go on a Drew Becky, not trying to shit on Drew or anything, but I think it says something that Yuma was picked at center back over a defender, so, I mean, we don't know if Drew's not fit or whatever, but I think he warmed up. But yeah, I think it says a lot that Mark trusts Yuma back there to play him there as needed. So
he's such a different type of defender than what I think we're used to, because his lack of size, obviously he has to play a lot differently. He's not just bodying people in the box, but the fact that a center back pairing of Mishak and Yuma, which is not that tall, not obviously Mishak can he's got some
weight to throw
around. He can absolutely body some people, but Yuma's pretty slight for a defender, so he's not the biggest dude running around out there. And with a target man like Sandoval, we have struggled so much with Sandoval in particular. And for basically his entire time on the field, they kept him pretty well penned in. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's, I know it's not the forever pairing or anything like that. But their approach seemed to work a little bit better than what we've done in the past, which is try to put a big body on him.
Yeah. I said too in the group chat that I was worried about Sandoval, and in our last pod, he's always the one I key on for, giving us a real battle back there. But he was anonymous. So that's always good. But tell me what you think of this shout, because my favorite center back pairing ever is Gerard Piqué and Javier Mascherano at Barcelona. I loved that pairing. And it reminds me of Mishak and Yuma together, two very solid players on the ball, one kind of small for that center back side, because, Javier was not huge by any means, but very gifted and a leader for Argentina, a leader for Barcelona, loved wearing the armband. So like it just reminds me of that partnership, the Mishak and Yuma, just that PK Mascherano dynamic.
That's actually a really interesting shout, and I do like that idea. I'm trying to picture. I can't tell if I should try to picture Yuma with a buzzed head or Mascherano with long flowing locks. But no, I do love that comparison. And just to sum up Devin Sandoval's night, he had the least touches of any outfield player to play 90 minutes and lost the most duels of any player on the field. So, like, if there was a way to kind of sum up striker effectiveness or, like, lack thereof, he couldn't get in the game. And when he competed for the ball, he often lost. So that's, I mean, the system set up to, stop that trident that they have from hitting us on the break, and it absolutely worked. Christian, I mean, towards the end of the game, as things started to wind down, Ida Borelli started to get pretty influential out on the left, as things like got a little stretched, things got a little more open, and he puts one right onto the penalty spot, like begging to be headed in by his former Bravos counterpart, Leandro Carrijo, and the big man just couldn't quite convert. I mean, this was potentially your dream goal.
Yeah, I wasn't lying to, like, it was not hyperbole when I told you that, like, when he missed, like, I shed a tear just because, like, I so wanted that to go in, and I might have cried rivers, like, if that did go in. It's really what I've been waiting for like since like the 3 months that, since they've signed with the team. But oh man, it was just heartbreaking to watch it go past. And that's, I'm sitting right to the side of that goal. That's where my seats were. And, it's one of those things where you see it happening before it happens. And then you hit, like, it played out like a movie. Like, like it was one of those things where you see it, like, happen in all its glory. Like, he makes contact, it smashes the back, it rips a hole through the back of the net.
Right.
And then like, you come crashing back to reality and realize that, like, it was all just a dream. That was my life, at 85 minutes or wherever we were at on Saturday when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's additionally devastating because that 100% is game right there. Like that, if they grab a goal, then we're able to sit back. We're not really pushing anymore. Like, we just kind of kill the game. Little bit of Logan antics potentially to kill it off, and walk away with the 3 points. And I mean, there's so many of these moments that I think you can point to for strikers where, and I think we had a moment like this with Mario Lomis as well. And I'm not trying to, like, draw the comparison or anything like that for any other reason beside, I think the tenure of strikers can change in terms of people's opinion of them on, like, a dime. Because I always think of, and again, I'm not saying this is the way that it's going, but I think of Mario Balotelli when he joined Liverpool. He had, like, 3 really good chances to score on his debut against Spurs, and he didn't take any of them. Like, he didn't score. And that moment gave everybody, like, oh, well, he's going to have a ton of chances and he's really good. So, like, he'll kick on and he'll be, like, the striker that we all expect. But it turned into, like, this crisis of confidence where he went, like, months without scoring. And so I just worry, I guess, for a guy like Carijo, who is such a goal scorer and like so much of his identity is around like the goals he scored at Bravos, I worry that like if it goes on too long, like will we have an issue of like his confidence or whatever. He doesn't seem like a particularly fickle player confidence wise. Like he seems very self-assured. And he's obviously got tons of history to fall back on. But it was something that popped into my head of like, you know, when Lomis like missed that chance against OC, like, and then like Borelli's had a couple of big ones, or Carijo's had a couple of big ones. Now I'm just like, you know, like when that first one falls, will that make a difference for him, or you know, are these like misses like racking up in his brain, or is he able to shake it off? I don't know. It's just something that occurred to me, I guess, after this one. Like, I hope it doesn't affect his perception at Locomotive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm choosing to be optimistic about it. I think that, you know, you might be more, it can go either way. I think you might be more susceptible to it as a younger player, you know, just because you're really hungry and, you know, you want everything to go in. But, you know, I'm sure he's had his share of droughts too. So I think from that perspective, he understands that, you know, there are going to be some stretches of games where you don't score a goal, but then, you know, there'll come a brace and 6 in a row, you know, right after that kind of, he's been through those ups and downs. The other thing is that again, this is speculation and I'm choosing to remain positive, but I think he is probably also self-aware. You know, he's playing with Locomotive because he's not, you know, Carijo from 6 years ago. You know, That's just not who he is anymore. And so maybe, you know, I think this is where having a good coach and a good manager comes in, you know, to kind of help you with that transition, and help you realize that you can contribute in other ways. Right now, we need goals from him with the situation. But, you know, I think that if I were a manager, one of the things that, you know, I try and talk about is that you also have a ton of knowledge. Like that's a lot of your gift now, is to help the team grow. So that's, like I said, that's me just, you know, being very, very optimistic and putting a very, very positive spin on things. But that's what I'm choosing to believe right now.
Well, I don't blame you for being positive in the wake of this. So Carijo misses his chance, unfortunately, to head Locomotive into the lead. But shortly after that, Mika, Ada Borelli is getting down the left-hand side again. And I say left-hand side very deliberately because he puts a cross in, and there's been tons of discussion about the handball rule as it's been defined by IFAB and FIFA. But handball, the ball strikes, I believe it's Tete, who had come on as a second half sub, strikes him on the arm right on the edge of the area. And there's some debate about whether it would have been a penalty or not. But is it handball? And then, is it a penalty? I guess those are the big questions.
It is a handball for sure. As most of us know now, under the new rules, intent is totally irrelevant. If it hits the hand, it's handball. Whether that's a good rule or not, we could have an entire podcast on that. But whether it's in the box is where I'm a little more unsure. Austin was able to grab a pretty good screen grab of the incident, and it looks like it's just on the border there. I don't know. to be fair. That's a tough one. But if I recall, did we even get the free kick? I don't think so.
No,
I think
they didn't. They didn't.
It was completely uncalled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they just
Play on.
completely they just played on. So there's at least one wrong decision there. I think at the very least it should have been a free kick. Because it was a handball. But whether it's in the box, I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's another one along with the Gomez goal where it's one of those that, I mean, obviously we don't have VAR, but even if we did, we don't have the camera angles like to be able to make that determination. So it would literally be, it's obviously going to be whatever the officials call on the field, but I think in this case I'm a little confused because obviously last season we were a year behind IFAB's like new rules and all of that and their new guidelines, where we were still playing with the year before because of the calendar. But the way the restart happened, like a lot of the guidelines changed before we started. So I'm not really sure what the whether they would cite the old guidelines for handball in USL or whether they're using the new ones. But anyways, it's a handball. But at the other end, final moments of stoppage time, and one more heart and mouth moment for Locomotive fans. And Christian, your namesake, Chris Canales, the linesman, who has been on the show before. For those who have been around, Chris did join us at a point just earlier this year, actually. But the ball is trickling through, basically ends up in the back of Logan's net, and thank God Chris Canales was there to raise his flag and call Josh Suggs offside and keep United from snagging what would have been a very undeserved winner.
Absolutely. When you're watching the game from the opposite end of the field, especially when it's coming from, when it's a sequence in the box like that where everything is pretty congested, as a fan, it's you have no idea really. So
right.
I see it go into the net, my heart just drops, especially because it was one of those that it just kind of like pinballed in there. I think it bounced off of like two players, including Logan, and then ends up in the net. It wasn't even like kicked in the net. So, of all the ways for that goal to go in, that's kind of almost worst case scenario there. So it's terrifying to watch. That just would have been, it just would have been the icing on the cake for, the shitty night that we were having, as far as, results go.
Right.
So to see it go up, that flag go up, it was very, I felt very relieved. I was very happy to shout at the New Mexico fans sitting a couple sections over that had started cheering. It was catharsis. But yeah, and watching the game, the next day, it's there's no question. It's a very clear-cut call. So, as dramatic as it was, I don't think it was controversial.
No, and I mean, Mika, did you ever doubt your boy to get that call right?
Yes. I was like, oh no, this is so obviously offside, but the way that the night was going, it felt almost like inevitable that it would be a wrong call. But
yeah, credit
to Chris, because he was able to pretty quickly get the flag up. So yeah.
I was convinced throughout the night that Amanda Moreno was going to score the winner because he should have been sent off, which we didn't even really speak about. He should have seen yellow a second time quite clearly. But doesn't. So I thought we were going to be on the end of the old cliche where, the player who should be off ends up scoring the winner. But fortunately for all involved, we avoided that.
It would have been like a reverse tainter.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible, by the way.
This podcast is NSFW, by the way.
Yeah. That sounds terrible.
Oh my God. Speaking of tainter, it's time for the Shithouse 11. And no shortage of choices in this one, but Christian, who's your nomination for the Shithouse 11?
I mean, it has to be Moreno. Just for the fact that he should have been, his night should have ended at like minutes 50 or whenever it was. So I mean, that's who I would choose. I think we've already picked a ref, so I'm pretty sure we did earlier in the season. So I'm not going for that one again, but. Yeah, I guess Moreno will fit the bill for this one.
Mika?
That's my pick too, Moreno.
Okay.
He was terrible on the night. And the Shithouse 11 needs goals too, so might as well throw him in there.
We're getting this is pretty potent. Like Omar, Solomon Asante, Solignac, and Amando Moreno. Like that's a pretty top heavy with Daniel Bruce, Drew Becky, and Mitchell Tainter at the back, and then Argueta from Colorado Springs anchoring the midfield. So
this Shithouse 11 would score 10 goals, concede 9, and have 5 red cards.
Yeah.
Do we have a keeper yet?
No keeper yet. So we got some work to do. I mean,
that's surprising. 4 games against New Mexico, and Mizell didn't.
I know. Well,
make the cut.
Yeah.
Do we still play Monarchs one more time?
Oh yeah, I think no. Ochoa did make the team last time out.
Oh yeah,
I didn't add him. My bad. Clerical error. Yeah, we've got Amando Moreno added to the Shithouse 11. Although I will say that I think Andrew Tenari is lucky to avoid being named, because I think on the night he committed at least 3 offenses that deserved yellow cards and didn't receive one, which is the ultimate shithouse move of,
and I think
avoiding punishment.
Lesane must have known that too, because that's the only reason I can think of for him coming out at halftime. Unless he got hurt or something, but I don't think that was the case. So,
right.
Lesane must have known how lucky he was to still be on the field, which is why I would imagine that he pulled him at halftime.
Right. Yeah. And I also, you bringing up Lesane, I really. His whole look this whole season has really hurt my vibes.
I mean, fuck it. We need a manager, right? This team can't run itself.
So obviously it ends 0-0, but who for you on Locomotive stood out? I mean, Mika, who was the game changer for Locomotive in this one?
You know what? I have to give this to Richie Ryan. I thought that this game, as all fixtures against New Mexico United has the potential to do, could have devolved. And I thought that he did a good job of just being Richie Ryan, keeping the midfield ticking and, just finding his man with his pass. He had 89% pass success on the night. Sometimes you just need that steady presence at the base of midfield. And, of course, with Yuma playing at center back, we needed him to shield the back line a bit more, and I think that he did that. I mean, we do end up getting the clean sheet. So, I go with the veteran Irishman, Richie Ryan.
Christian, who's your game changer?
I want to say I think Brahim quietly had a very good game. I don't know. I don't know if game changer is appropriate, but I think he quietly had a very good game. I think he has finally adapted to his position, which I think is going to be important. Because I think that we're going to need to maybe utilize the right side of the field a lot more now that we don't have Omar on the left. So I think his creativity and his athleticism are going to be important. But specifically to this game, he had some good shots. I think he had the header that wasn't some really good dribbles. That was a lot of fun too, to watch him just burn through some of these defenders, and a lot of success as far as winning the ball. I think he won 12 duels. So I think he had a really good game in that sense. So I think he, if anything, just to give him some recognition, he is my nomination for this one.
Yeah, I do like that one, and I like I think we were all commenting on some of his dribbling in the match, and some of the touches he was taking was just very impressive. And so he is showing certainly some of why, Mark has had the faith to move him into midfield from that right back spot. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'll just shout out our boy Yuma. I just think he was vital to the way we played. Although Mishak right next to him certainly had a good game as well. And credit, shout out to the defense for grabbing another clean sheet, because obviously, when the goals aren't flowing, the only way you're getting a result is if you don't allow any, and they achieved that. So credit to them. Christian, another week, another update to the score prediction league. I know we didn't do so hot this week for sure, with no goals.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, let's give a quick update on that. So 0 points for Austin, Phil, and Mika. Everyone predicting some scoring and Locomotive win. And you all went with a 3-1 win, actually. Now that I'm looking back at it, you all picked the same score. I was so close. I so wanted to do the 0-0 draw just for the chance at climbing up on you guys, on the ladder. Right. I went with a 1-1 draw, so I lost myself 3 points because of that. So I do get 1 point. No one else moves this week, but I do get 1 point. So that leaves us Austin still in first place by a long shot with 21. Mika at 13, she remains there. Phil remains with 12. I closed the gap by 1 with 10 points. So had I picked the 0-0 draw that I wanted to, I would have actually been tied with Mika.
Oh, damn.
For second place. So, so that would have really turned the tables, pun intended.
Well, yeah, it was a tough week for all involved, but we have a big match ahead in Colorado Springs coming up on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about that right after this quick break. Are you tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Are you looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday league squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. They have made some incredible stuff, some great concepts. I have a Babylon Akadi FC concept kit sitting right here next to me in my office. It's unbelievable. You can work with them on a design of your own and let them help you design your new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com. Welcome back to Seriously Loco. Guys, it's another just big match week in that we have a game Wednesday and a game Saturday, but the game on Wednesday in Colorado Springs offers the chance to officially lock up now that we've passed up that chance against New Mexico United. We have a chance to lock up first place in Group C, and secure that home playoff berth, secure that avoidance of San Antonio FC, which I think is the real prize. Both are real prizes as this postseason starts, but it's a match against Colorado, but the context makes it a little bit more important than just, hey, we're playing Colorado Springs.
True. Yeah. I mean, we're going to want to win, obviously, since we've, as you said, passed up that opportunity to lock up first place. And I think we can. I think we can beat them. They are coming off a draw against Real Monarchs, and they probably, looking at the attacking output they had in that game, they probably deserved a little bit more. But we know that Colorado cannot be counted on necessarily to get the results that they deserve, statistically speaking. So I think we can go up there and get the dub.
Christian, obviously the big hole that will need to be filled is Omar Salgado, but we've seen in the past that and I think a few of us in the group chat or some people in the group chat were talking about him entering the last match, but Saeed Robinson has played every match against Colorado Springs. Do you think we see Saeed again in this one?
Yeah, absolutely. For all the reasons, I think apparently Mark likes to play him against Colorado for whatever reason. But also, we saw that Carijo can't play 90. And he's probably more efficient, playing 20. He could probably play 50 or 60, but he's more efficient just playing 20, I think. So I think that Saeed is the obvious choice, short of, changing the shape completely. But that would seem like a weird thing to do given where we are in the season and given that we play on Wednesday, not even a full week to integrate that. So that, now that I think about it, that just must be really frustrating for Mark in that, he has to make these major changes and he's got, 1 day to do it, really, when you take into account travel and all of that.
Right.
So that's really frustrating. I don't envy him for being in that position, but that's got to be it. I don't imagine what else it could be.
Yeah, I think, Mika, with the chance to clinch past, do you think Mark trots out a pretty similar side with the idea that, hey, we can lock it up in Colorado and then play a very changed side at the weekend against Monarchs to round out the season, the regular season?
I don't know. I almost feel like we'll want to rotate for this one because we cannot afford to have another Omar Salgado-like injury to a starter going into the postseason. I think, early in the season, we speculated that this might be a bit of a wash, but I think actually we're in a position to really do some damage in the postseason. So I think we'll want to avoid putting any more stress on the starters or the A team, if you will, and rotate. But we'll see. Of course, we've been wrong so many times about what Mark's gonna do. So yeah. But I lean on the side of rotate.
Christian, you were kind of nodding along. Do you think Mark goes for the jugular and then rotates next weekend or this coming weekend?
Yeah, I think he has to. Because I think that first place is the goal. I don't think that even given the injury circumstance, I don't think that we're settling for second at this point. So to me, especially since we're playing away, which we haven't done in like over a month, I think that it's really important to make sure it gets done now, because the last thing you want is to have to do it. Even if you rotate, 60 minutes come and it's, we still don't have then you have to bring these players in, bring these starters in and ask them to play meaningful minutes, not just, come in, hold the ball for 20 minutes and, let's get out of here. You have to ask them to come in there, give 100%. And then if for whatever reason they can't get it done in their sub minutes, then you have to trot them out again for sure. Because if you don't do it on Wednesday, then you have to do it on Saturday. So if anything, I think that he puts them out there, gets a comfortable position in the game in the first half, and maybe make some subs early in the second half and rest them. That's my way of looking at it.
We often, Mika, as you pointed out, we often joke about Colorado's ability to defy analysis and just they where everything's made up and the points don't matter. This is basically what Colorado Springs is. But if there's a danger man for Colorado Springs, can you pinpoint who that is?
I can, based on how how they played last time out and just recent goal scoring. I think Christian Valesky is probably the one that we would look at as that one that can make a difference for them. He's very aggressive and quite demanding of his teammates, as we saw last time out. So yeah, I'm looking to him to make a difference. He did score a penalty in their last match in that draw against Monarchs, I believe. So yeah, probably him.
Yeah, I don't know that you can look at someone who's been no one else has been consistently dangerous, I guess, for Colorado Springs. They go through these fits and starts where it's just 2 games in a row with a goal and then just never score again. So yeah, Valesky, I think is probably the one. Christian, who from Locomotive is your player to watch in this one?
I mean, it has to be Said, I think. Like I said, I think that so much of our game is based around what Omar does. And so in a game where you don't have the option to bring him on, you don't have the luxury of subbing him on, even if he's not starting, I think a lot of it does fall on him to bring that pace. I think that's why we didn't beat New Mexico. I think we just couldn't get past them. They were fouling us, obviously, but I think if you're quick enough to get by them, then they can't foul you, is what it comes down to. So I think that's the reason why we didn't get a result against New Mexico. And I think that if Said doesn't have a good game, it could be the reason that we don't get the result that we want there either.
Mika, who are you looking at from Locomotive to make a difference?
Assuming he starts, Said Robinson. I'm just going to go based on history because I'm with
the agreement with Christian there.
Yeah. I think that I think he'll be up for this one. And I hope he starts in that, either as one of the 2 strikers in the diamond or just behind the strikers in the 10 position in the hole. I thought he was the more logical sub against New Mexico United, but perhaps we're saving him for this one. I'd like to see him play, and I think he can do some damage.
Yeah, I'm really I'm starting to, and maybe this goes along with what I was talking about with Carrillo earlier, but I really want Gomez to score. I'm getting to a point where I'm just please, Aron, please, just for his own sake. I want him to break out of the I don't know if you can even call it a slump in a season this long, but this mini drought, whatever that he's going through. So I'm keying on the fact that I really just want him to, because he's been trusting his instinct. He's been, like really kind of instinctual, like throughout his approach and taking first time shots and all this stuff, like being confident, and it just hasn't paid off in the way that I think we all expected. So I just don't want I don't want this, especially as we head towards the playoffs. I want to make sure he is feeling confident and firing, because he was so important last season in the playoffs. And now with Omar out, he's going to be even more important, I think. But yeah, that's my shout. I think we're all focused on the attack after a scoreless draw. It's like we got the rest figured out. Just put some balls in the back of the net. So it's on. Go for it, Christian.
I was gonna say, what I think is funny is that Gomez is still like the leading scorer on the team this season.
Yeah,
he leads with 4. Then, so it's interesting. I think 2 of those are penalties. So, take away the penalties, and he's even with everyone else. But he still has 4. So if anything, if he has to tell himself something to go to sleep at night, that would be it, I think.
Yeah,
he's saving it. He's saving it for the playoffs. He's gonna go off.
He's like, these games don't matter. Like, I only score when it matters. So on to speaking of scoring, it's time to pick our scores for the score prediction league. And so who's up? Are you up first?
Me.
You up first?
Still
Christian?
me. Yeah, okay. You still have 2 points on me.
Oh, okay.
So I am going with a 2-1 win. And I'm going to say that Brian will score. We'll get on the board. Just seems crazy, but one of those like crazy enough it just might work kind of things. So 2-1 with a Brian goal.
I like that. That's a Mika pick, I think. Like it is. With the Brian goal. So am I up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think, based on and I think I said this before I predicted the 3-1, but based on the volume of chances that we're creating, and I'm just going to keep saying that, based on the volume of chances we're creating, we should be scoring like somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 goals against a team like Colorado. So I'm going to say 3-0, comfortable, nice clincher to give all of our cardiovascular systems a little bit of a rest after these last few matches. And I'm going to go with Dylan returning to the score sheet. It's been a little bit. I know I said I want Gomez to score, but that's precisely why I'm not picking him in the league, because I do not want to jinx him out of it. I want him to score, without me. So anyways, Dylan in the 3-0. That's what I'm going for.
3-0. Damn.
It's
another clean sheet.
It's got to happen at some point. Like, there's got to be a performance that matches the numbers. Like, it's got to happen at some point.
So we're underperforming XG, you're saying?
Yeah. Almost every game we have, we had a game this season where we created 8 big chances, which is just absurd. So, we're literally, getting to a point of just complete, statistical improbability.
Yeah, that's fair. I am going to go 2-1. And I will choose Maka King as my goal scorer. I'm going to keep going with defenders.
Yep.
So I think maybe he had a really good game when we played Colorado in Colorado last time. So True. That's my rationale.
I like those picks. Obviously, a little bit of confidence around this one, a little bit of travel, and a lot of games this week for El Paso Locomotive. So we'll be bringing you all the analysis before and after. and we'll be watching this game on Wednesday night. It should be a lot of fun and a big chance for Locomotive to seal that home playoff game, which I know a lot of people in El Paso are really, really looking forward to. I saw tickets being provisionally sold for that match, so I want Locomotive to go out and make it so. The home playoff match from last season is one of probably my fondest memories of like live sports, maybe ever. So giving people even a taste of that at a reduced capacity, obviously for safety purposes, but the atmosphere in that building is something that I still think about. So I really want Locomotive to go out and get it done selfishly to see the playoffs return to the SWAP. But yeah, big week ahead for them and for us, obviously, as we're following along. And if you have enjoyed this episode, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and more. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Seriously Loco. We'll be watching this match Wednesday, and we'll probably be back to talk about it later this week. Until then, stay loco.